Hello, welcome to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you create a wealthy life free from burnout and with the financial security to practice medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa Zhang. Welcome back to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, the podcast where we talk about building wealth, financial freedom, and creating a life that feels as good as it looks on paper. Today's episode is inspired by a question I see all the time. I'm in a few personal finance Facebook groups, and I regularly will see someone who posts a question like, where should I open a brokerage account? And honestly, I get it. Once you move beyond your retirement accounts and start thinking about investing on your own, it suddenly feels like there are a ton of options. And you may feel the pressure to pick the, quote, right one. So today, I want to simplify this for you. We're going to talk about how to choose where to open a brokerage account or an IRA, and I'll walk you through the differences between Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab, which, if you've been listening to this podcast, are the three platforms I recommend most often. Before we get into that, I want to give you a little bit of context and full transparency. I actually have accounts at all three, at Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab. My first account that I ever opened was at Fidelity. I opened it when I was 21, and that was mostly because that's where my parents had their accounts. Basically, since my dad told me that now I graduated undergrad and I was working, so I needed to open a Roth IRA and to do it at Fidelity. So that's what I did. I didn't overthink it. Later on, when I started learning more about investing, especially index fund investing, I opened an account at Vanguard. Because really, they're the king of index funds. Schwab really came in the picture because of my husband. He had a brokerage account there even before we got married. It's one that was set up with his dad. Later on, I went ahead and opened joint brokerage and checking accounts for the two of us at Schwab. So when I'm talking about these three different brokerage platforms, I'm not speaking theoretically. I've actually used all of them and still do. Now, before we start comparing features and getting to the details, I want to ground you in what actually matters here, because this is where people tend to get stuck. What matters is that you're choosing a platform with low fees, access to low-cost index funds, a reasonably easy-to-use interface, and the types of accounts you need. The good news is that Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab check those boxes. And that's why they're my go-to recommendations. Before we go deeper into comparing them, I want to talk briefly about a couple of options that I generally don't recommend, because I think this helps clarify the decision even more. The first is Merrill Lynch. Now, Merrill Lynch isn't inherently bad, but it often comes with higher fees, especially if you're in a managed account or working with an advisor through their platform. And those fees matter. They may not feel obvious up front, but over time, they quietly eat into your investment returns. When you have excellent low-cost options like Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for most people, especially if you're someone willing to learn about investing, which by listening to this podcast, I hope that is you, then you don't need to be paying more than you need to. Another platform that got a lot of attention back during the GameStop short squeeze is Robinhood. I will say this. Robinhood has been doing a great job making investing accessible. But it's really built more for simplicity in trading, not for building long-term wealth across multiple account types. Personally, I prefer platforms where you can keep your entire financial life organized in one place. Your brokerage account, your IRA, your HSA, maybe even a solo 401k if you have side income. That kind of setup makes it easier to automate your investing, stay consistent, and think long-term. And that's really where Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab shine. They're built for that kind of full financial ecosystem. So now that we've cleared that out of the way, let's talk about how these three actually compare. From a fee standpoint, they're all very competitive. All three offer commission-free trading for stocks and ETFs, and they have a wide selection of low-cost index funds. Vanguard has a reputation here because they really pioneered index fund investing. But Fidelity and Schwab have caught up in a big way. Fidelity even offers some index funds with 0 expense ratios, which is pretty incredible. So from a cost perspective, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Where people start to notice differences is in the user experience. I've heard a lot of people prefer Fidelity's website and app over Vanguard's. Personally, I think they're both good. They just feel different. Vanguard's platform feels a little bit more simple and long-term focused, and Fidelity feels maybe more modern and flexible. Schwab, in my experience, sits somewhere in the middle. This is one of those areas where personal preference really matters more than people expect. The next thing is that we can look at the types of accounts they offer, because this is where some practical differences come in. All three offer taxable brokerage accounts, traditional IRAs, and Roth IRAs. So if that's all you need, you're covered no matter which one you choose. But there are some differences once you get beyond that. For example, Vanguard no longer offers solo 401ks. Fidelity does offer solo 401ks, and they currently offer both traditional and Roth options, which is really valuable if you have some kind of side income or are self-employed. Fidelity also offers HSAs, which can be an incredibly powerful investment tool if you're eligible. Schwab offers a wide range of accounts as well, including business retirement plans, though it doesn't have quite the same HSA offering as Fidelity. Another area where Fidelity and Schwab stand out is in their banking and cash management features. Both Fidelity and Schwab offer things like debit cards, check writing, and even ATM fee reimbursements. For example, Fidelity Cash Management Account offers unlimited automatic reimbursement for ATM fees charged by other institutions, which is especially nice if you travel. Schwab has similar features and is actually very popular for international travelers because of how smoothly their ATM reimbursements work. ATM fees get automatically refunded once a month. Vanguard, on the other hand, doesn't really function as a banking platform in the same way. So if you like the idea of having your investments and your cash management somewhat integrated, Fidelity or Schwab may be a better fit. Another difference that may or may not matter to you is physical locations. Fidelity and Schwab both have brick and mortar branches in many major cities, while Vanguard does not. For some people, that doesn't matter at all. For others, it's reassuring that you can walk into a branch if you need help. And then there's one more factor that I think is very underrated, which is simply, where do you already have accounts? If your 401k is already at Vanguard or Fidelity, it may make sense to stay there. It simplifies your logins, makes it easier to keep track of everything, and just reduces the mental load. In my opinion, that matters more than people think. So when it comes to actually choosing, I want you to keep it simple. You're choosing between 3 excellent options. So instead of trying to optimize for the perfect choice, ask yourself a few practical questions. Do I already have accounts somewhere? Do I want banking features like a debit card? Do I need something like a solo 401k or HSA? And what platform feels easiest for me to use? Then just pick one. Because here's the truth. The biggest mistake is not choosing the wrong brokerage firm or platform. The biggest mistake is not investing at all because you're stuck trying to make the perfect decision. So in the end, don't overthink this. Choose a platform, whether it's Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab, and get started with investing, because that's what actually builds wealth. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend who's been putting off investing because they don't know where to start. If you have a question regarding personal finance or investing, or have a suggestion for a topic for a podcast episode, please feel free to email me at growyourwealthymindset@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week, and I'll be back next week with another episode of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could share it with your friends and colleagues. And now for the disclaimer. I am not a certified financial planner, accountant, or attorney, and nothing I say should be construed as professional investment, tax, or legal advice. This show is primarily for your education and entertainment. I am a physician, but I'm probably not your physician. So if you need any medical advice, please contact your own physician. Thank you.